What's going on, everyone? Gilman with the Wellthy Stocks, back with another Tesla video, and this is a little bit different than our usual video because it is earnings happening right now. They just announced their Q4 2020 earnings. So we'll take a little bit of a deeper look at that, kind of everything that they covered within that. Then we'll go into, kind of the stock support and resistance and what we think could happen. But I do want to take a little bit more time, kind of digging deep into the earnings, because I think it has a lot of implications for the company kind of moving forward, right? Their profitability, their numbers, what they have coming, and all that good stuff. Crazy day, as you guys probably already know, for the markets, right? We've got stocks like GameStop and AMC just up 200-300%, and then we've got the major indexes down 3% almost, which is a major red day for a lot of these indexes. So it'll be it's been a really interesting day overall, mostly red, but depending on what stock you were trading today, right? So let me hit record and we will get right into it. So Tesla was down on the day about $18, which is about 2% on the day. At one point though, we did again attempt that $900 mark, right? But only got to $891. So about 2.5 down. We're down another $36 in the after hours, 37. It's going to keep changing because a lot of action going on in the after hours, which is about another 4%. Comparing that to the NASDAQ, we had the NASDAQ down 2.6%. The Dow Jones was down 600 points, which is 1.98%. And then the S&P was also down 2.5%, right? So between like 2 to 3% red day for all the indexes. Tesla was down 2%, no different. So what exactly is happening with Tesla earnings? Now I want to take this article real quick to kind of cover the baselines. Then I want to take another article using the street. I really like using them because it gives me kind of everything I need in little pieces, and I could just read it, right? Especially on a day like this when I'm trying to follow earnings of Tesla, Apple, Facebook, and a couple other companies as well. So on days like this, instead of going and digging for the information myself, I can just get that. So if you guys want, this is the street article that I'll be looking at. Feel free to check that out. But real quick, right off the bat, right, we've got earnings and revenue. Revenue were beat 10.74 billion versus 10.4 expected, but EPS was not beat. We were expecting, analysts were expecting $1.03 on the $1.03 per share. We got an EPS of only 80 cents. And then the other thing that was kind of concerning was 19.2% gross margin, right? So when you sell something, the amount of money you make on that, right? Your cost minus your expenses, your gross margins, were the lowest they were since 2019. So let's dig a little bit deeper into some of this. Hopefully this is of interest to you guys. If not, feel free to go to the later part of the video where I take a look at stock prices. But so let's start from over here, right? The consensus was 10.4 billion. They beat that. We just covered that, 10.7. GAAP EPS of 0.72. Non-GAAP of $1.02. So this is what that was talking about, the $1.03, right? That's non-GAAP. GAAP is the accounting standards board, and the way you can look at earnings or revenue is different if you take a look at GAAP or not GAAP, right? You can count some things, you can take out some things that can really change your numbers around. The deliveries guidance, the delivery consensus was at 180,000, and the 2021 consensus is at 696. And this is kind of the thing that I want to kind of take a look at, right? The expectations for Tesla are super high, and I want to take a minute to kind of take a break from this, and we'll get right back to it, but I want to cover this real quick. This is a letter that Elon Musk himself sent to the company, urging them to get their costs down, right? He said investors are giving us a lot of credit for future profitability, but if we don't, control our costs, then, we're going to get hit like a sledgehammer. So something to keep in mind, right? Elon was aware of this, and the expectations for Tesla are high, right? Because the stock has gone like 7-fold in the last year alone. So investors want to make sure that they can continue this. So this is talking about, 2.6 drop for NASDAQ, 1.8 for Tesla. Revenue, again, beat. Non-GAAP EPS is 80 cents, which was below the $1.02. We knew that. GAAP EPS was only 24 cents, which was below a 72 cents, right? So that pushed Tesla stock down 6.4%, as you could see, getting bought up decently, hit below 800 once, right now in the 823s. So let's get back into it, keep going. The one thing that I think, is really important, and this is one of the reasons why we saw Apple stock fall last quarter as well after earnings, is because they didn't give guidance. Guidance essentially tells investors, hey, here are our numbers now, but here's what we think they are going to be. And they did not have formal 2021 deliveries guidance. Rather, it just said, they're saying they're going to achieve this 50% average annual deliveries growth over a multi-year horizon, right? While adding that it expects 2021 to be higher than this. Investors want a little bit more of a concrete, like we're going to grow by 10%, we're going to grow by 15%, all that stuff. So that's something that was a little bit concerning, but good news is that they've got 2 new gigafactories, one in Austin, Texas, which is where I went to school, hook 'em, and the other being in Berlin. So that's good news for the stock, right? More gigafactories means more deliveries, more production capabilities, and then, hopefully driving those numbers up. The other good news is that, as you guys know, right, we had an offering not too long ago. They were able to raise cash, so their free cash flow was 1.87 billion and above a 1.1 billion consensus. They've also, I think there was also a number here on cash on hand, which is what I was thinking of. So anyway, moving on. Regulatory credits. So regulatory credits, for those of you guys that know, are pretty much like the EPA has put out some guidance around, hey, your cars need to be this efficient, right? Like your average across all the cars you sell needs to be X miles per gallon. I'm sure it's more complicated than that. I'm not 100% like detailed familiar with it, but so a lot of car companies, right, because Tesla technically produces no emissions, Tesla has a certain number of credits that they could sell to these other companies like maybe Ford and GM that sell a lot of trucks and gas guzzling vehicles. That also counts as revenue for Tesla, right? So this is what it's saying. Automotive gross margins were 20.7% versus 23.7% in Q3 and 20.9% in Q4 2019. So went down from Q3, right, from 23.7 to 20.7. And then they talk about, automobile revenue year over year is 46% increase, which again is amazing. It's a 9.31 billion. Energy was up 72% to 752, and services and other revenue was 17 to 678. Now, the thing that I really, really liked seeing though was this graph right here. And again, I'm not saying that Tesla is going to blow up, right, stock price wise because of the way it's valued, and I'm covering both the goods and the bads, right? Earlier we covered some things that I thought weren't good, but this is great to see, right? We're talking about vehicle deliveries. I mean, this chart goes up, right? If you take a look at Q4, we're talking 180. The next closest quarter they had was 140,000. And like I said, right, the Berlin and Austin gigafactories are probably only going to keep this number going up. The operating and free cash flow, right, highest it's ever been. Great for the company. Net income lower than it was Q3 2020. But again, it's the 5th consecutive quarter, or maybe 6th actually. I don't know if it was, no, 5th was when they were included in the S&P. So this was probably their 6th quarter of net income, right? Not showing a loss. After the 5th one, they were included in the S&P. Tesla, as they say, was down 4.5%. The Q4 report isn't bad overall, but as noted before, expectations were high following a giant run-up, right? And some investors probably wanted more precise deliveries guidance. Wow, I didn't even read this, but that's pretty much what I said, right? So the expectations for Tesla were super, super high. And for a stock that's up this much, right, a little bit of a pullback is going to happen. A little bit of a sell the news is going to happen. I think Facebook just reported beat earnings, but is still down. So that's, with the run-up that they have, this is bound to happen. Global market share of Tesla global market share of Tesla vehicles by region chart looks good, right? That number is going up from a percent wise. They're talking about, construction in Berlin and Texas for the Model Y and the Cybertruck in Texas as well. And then other, production capabilities going up. The other super cool thing though is Tesla saying there's an unnamed future product, right? Not the Semi, not the Cybertruck, not the Roadster in development. So it'll be really interesting to see when that comes out. And I'm sure that when it does, it'll push the stock price up a little bit as well. This is the number I was talking about. Yeah. Thanks to both FCF and recent capital raises, Tesla ended Q4 with 19.4 billion in cash. I mentioned that a little bit ago, but that wasn't the cash number. That was the free cash flow number. This is the cash number. So that's really good too. All these numbers are great, you guys. I mean, everything other than the fact that they didn't provide guidance and they didn't meet EPS. A lot of things are really, really looking up for Tesla as of right now. You know, they've got a new product in the works. They've got I think somewhere along the line, they said that, Tesla semi deliveries are starting this year. We've got 2 new gigafactories coming that should help increase production. So all of that is great news for the stock. But besides that, we're still down 4% after hours. Again, nothing to be, you know, crazy worried about. If you take a look at this chart for us, what we have is, you know, we were here like a week ago. We were in the 820s a week ago, so it's not really a crazy fall. And I do think that, you know, after it dips a little bit, and the dip could keep going, right? We could still see a little bit more of a sell-off, not necessarily because people are, you know, scared that Tesla's going to crash or anything, but because with the amount it's up, a little bit of a pullback is you know, necessary. A little bit of a correction maybe is necessary, but I think once it can establish that solid footing, it'll start to push right back up. So I'm not super worried about that. Let's take a look at what we have coming from a level of future support and resistance. And then, you know, that'll be it for the video. But we had this level right here, 861, which was a support level before we kind of fell in the after hours, right? So we dipped below this 861, we dipped below the 848, and we are kind of right at this 829 level, right? So what do we have coming up from levels of support and resistance? Let me get a horizontal line, and I'm just going to draw it right at kind of 800, 802, a little bit of support there, and just 800 being a little bit of a mental resistance, or excuse me, support, mental support. So now let's start. So we are right here, right? We're in the 825s right now. Our first level that we have coming from let's cover the upside, and then I think we can cover the downside. Upside would be this 829 level, right? If we can push that, 848, 864, and then, you know, the high of today, which was 891 before we get to 900, right? So that's what we have coming on the upside, quickly covering that. Now let's talk about, 829, 829, 848, 864, and then 890, right? 4 levels on the upside to look for. If we see Tesla start to push up, that's what I'm looking for. On the downside, what we have is this level right here, right? Which if I put the EMAs, right, what we saw was today we bounced right off that 8 EMA, but now the 8 EMA is at 856, so that's also a level to push for. However, we've got the 21 EMA, and that's sort of the reason why I drew this line at 803 for us and 802. That 21 EMA is at 803. I would really like to see the stock hold that, right? It's coming up soon though. We are only about 20 bucks away from it. We've already fallen about 40. So that's gonna be the key test, whether or not it can hold that 21 EMA / 800 support level. If it does, maybe that's the new base and we start to push up. If not, we could fall to 775, which is our next level of support, and potentially even to kind of the 750s range, which is where we have both a support level and the 34 EMA, right? So I think it's really crucial. Again, we've got a couple hours of after hours left and pre-market tomorrow before we even start the day. So it just depends, right? I don't necessarily, you know, think that we're gonna just keep crashing. I also don't think that it's gonna be, you know, just we're going to be hitting 900 like in a matter of a couple hours, right? I think it'll take a little bit. Investors are going to try to figure out everything that's going on, and we will kind of get we'll figure out what's going on at that point, right? So on the downside, again, just really want to cover this 803, which is a 21 EMA, is a key level of support. Hopefully that holds, but if not, and we break the 800s, fall to 775 and maybe even the 34 EMA right in the 750s. That would be, you know, potentially a good time to buy Tesla if you're interested, right, at the 34 EMA, assuming you can hold the 34 EMA, right? I'd like to get a little bit of confirmation before going in, but we will kind of see how that goes. And the other thing that I really quickly wanted to talk about is I'm going to bring in my Tastyworks for us here, and we could take a look at this chart. So we are, whenever it wants to load, There we go. So our 15 EMA was right at 867. And as you guys see, we are, way below that. So the last time that happened, we fell all the way to the 180-day SMA a couple months ago. Feel free to, I've gone in previous videos and looked at that. I'm not going to scroll there right now. But that is at 729. So again, not saying that we have to fall all the way to 729, but I'm saying the room to the downside is there if we don't, kind of come above this 15 EMA sometime soon. I personally do think that the 21 EMA is kind of the next real level that I'm watching for a level of support. If we keep, falling based on the weakness in the market today, but I would also not be surprised if we, get the dip bought out relatively quickly, as we've kind of seen in the past couple of weeks / months. So hope you guys found this video helpful. I know I talked a lot and I went over a lot of the details for, earnings, but hopefully that was helpful to some of you guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Comment down below what your thoughts and opinions on Tesla are, and I'd love to chat with you guys down there. Let's remember to be a bit better every single day, and until next time.